This is happening. Republicans and Democrats are uniting to stop Trump from pushing the world to the brink of war with NATO. But why is this happening? And what does it mean for the future of global security? This isn't just another political squabble. It could reshape the alliances that have kept the world in check since World War II. Trump's threats to Greenland have rattled the world. Now, in 2026, the fallout is forcing an unprecedented response. But what happens next? Stick with me, because this is just the beginning, and it will change how we see everything. So here's the core of it. Trump, in a bold move, has threatened to take military action in Greenland, a move that has shocked both allies and enemies alike. But this isn't an isolated incident. It's part of a larger pattern that's been unfolding for years, one where America's most powerful allies are being shaken piece by piece. And here's the key question. Why is Greenland suddenly so important? Is it really just about territory, or is there a bigger game being played here that we're not seeing? The stakes are rising fast, and this is no longer just a political stunt. It's a global flashpoint. Let's be clear. This isn't just political bluster. There's a bill in Congress right now called the Stop the Funding of the NATO Invasion Act, and it's gaining bipartisan support. Republican Don Bacon, along with Democrats, is pushing this to stop Trump from using U.S. military funds to invade Greenland. But why would Republicans traditionally loyal to Trump turn against him on this? It's simple. The reality of what Trump's threats are doing to NATO is undeniable. It's not just about Greenland. It's about the future of the alliance that's kept the world stable since World War II. And the American public? Polls show that only 9% of people support the idea of a military action in Greenland. But here's what's missing. No one is talking about the ripple effect. What happens if this bill passes? If it does, it would essentially cut off Trump's ability to fund any military action in Greenland without facing immediate legal consequences. This is a direct challenge to Trump's authority, and it shows how desperate things have become. The very people who once supported him are now standing in his way. Now things are escalating quickly. This isn't just a political battle. It's a full-blown crisis in the making. Trump's military threats are starting to look more like a pattern, and this could be a turning point for NATO. Remember, this isn't the first time a U.S. president has tried to challenge global alliances. Think back to past moments when isolationist policies weakened America's position. But this is different. Trump's approach is shaking NATO to its core, and it's normalizing a level of risk that used to be unthinkable. If America, the leader of the free world, can't be relied upon, what does that mean for global stability? If this continues, it could lead to a breakdown of the very system that has kept the world from falling into chaos for decades. Now, let's talk about the real impact of these actions. The bill in the House is just one piece of the puzzle. The Senate is moving forward with a separate bill aimed at limiting any further military action in Venezuela, this time demanding specific congressional approval. But Trump's Greenland threat isn't about Venezuela. It's about using military power without checks and balances. Here's where it gets even more disturbing. If this new legislation passes, it would make it illegal for Trump to use federal funds for military action in Greenland. This means that even without formal approval, the funds would be off limits, effectively stopping any chance of military escalation. This is a direct challenge to Trump's authority, and it shows how desperate things have become. The very people who once supported him are now standing in his way. Things are moving fast, and the pressure is mounting. Just look at the recent chain of events. In quick succession, multiple key developments have surfaced. From legislative actions to Pentagon investigations, the situation is spiraling out of control. The momentum is undeniable. This is more than just a few isolated events. We're witnessing a breakdown of control. The political pressure is building, and every move Trump makes is met with new resistance. This is a chaotic scramble to regain power, and what happens next will have consequences far beyond Washington. What happens if this continues? Well, Trump's grip on military power could weaken even further. And if the legislation passes, it could set a precedent for how much authority future presidents can actually exercise without full approval. The uncertainty of this new reality is unsettling, and it's just getting started. But let's shift the focus for a moment. What does all this mean for ordinary people like you? It's easy to get lost in the politics of it all, but the reality is that these decisions impact lives on the ground. If Trump pushes forward with military action, it's not just about global politics, it's about real consequences. Families, businesses, lives could be upended, all because of one man's agenda. If you've been following the story, you've probably noticed the growing divide, not just between political parties, but between what's best for the people and what's being pushed forward for power. The frustration from regular Americans is palpable. This isn't just a war of ideologies. It's a war over the future of security and stability and whether or not we'll continue to play by the rules that have kept us safe for decades. If this feels familiar, if it feels like you've seen this before, drop a comment below. You're not alone in questioning where all of this is headed. Let's move beyond the outrage for a second, because there's something deeper at play here, something that isn't being fully discussed. This isn't just about Trump or Greenland. It's about the systems in place that allow this kind of escalation to happen in the first place. The power structures that enable one person to challenge decades of alliances and diplomacy with just a few words. Why is it that a single decision can shake the foundation of NATO, a system that has kept the peace since World War II? It's because of a dangerous cocktail of leverage, spectacle, and fear. Leaders know that public opinion can be manipulated. They know that people are more likely to react out of fear than reason. And when the world's most powerful nation begins to crumble under the weight of its own power, alliances start to feel shaky. What happens next isn't just about one leader. It's about a systemic failure that's been building for years. So where do we go from here? There are two paths ahead, both uncertain and fraught with danger. On one hand, the bipartisan push to stop Trump could succeed, forcing him to back down and reconsider his approach to NATO. If that happens, it might send a strong message that even a president cannot act unchecked, and there are still limits to what can be done without the support of Congress and the American people. But here's the flip side. What if the legislation fails? What if Trump, emboldened by this resistance, doubles down on his threats, pushing NATO and the international community even further into uncertainty? It would set the stage for more international destabilization and maybe even irreversible damage to alliances that have been in place for over 70 years. The momentum is real, but the future is still in flux. The next move is already in play, and whether we realize it or not, the consequences are already starting to unfold. This is where the story flips. What happens now isn't just about Trump or NATO, it's about the future of global power. We're standing at the crossroads of history where one man's actions could change the course of decades of diplomacy. The deeper truth, the world isn't as stable as we think. The cracks in the system are already showing, and the question isn't whether we'll see more breakdowns, it's how far this will go before it's too late. And when that moment arrives, there's no turning back. The reality is this. The decisions made in Washington today will define the world tomorrow. Will we see a return to stability, or is this the start of something bigger? The choice isn't just in the hands of Congress, it's in the hands of the American people. Stay tuned. If you want to keep getting the deeper analysis you won't hear anywhere else, make sure to follow and subscribe. The next move is already forming, and we'll be here to break it down.